Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Backlog Banter. Today is a very special week for multiple reasons. I am in a new place. I have moved into a house like a real adult, which is it's kind of scary to think about. But also, enough about that. The PS5 came out, and so did the Xbox Series X and Series S, and the PS5 All Digital Edition. It is new next gen, new gen. We're here, and we've played a solid handful of games on our next gen consoles, and we're ready to discuss what our week has been like in video games.
Now, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have talked about a couple games already, so you'll see cards in the corner to our
Ooh,
Astros Playroom review and our Spider-Man Miles Morales first impressions. Since that, I have beaten Miles Morales. Tucker has sunk a lot more time into it, but
yep.
we've got some moving pieces in the works. One large moving piece, his name is Tanner Dykstra. We're going to see if he can get it finished up in time to record with us in a couple days.
Yeah.
But basically, the long and the short, if you will, is that we're not going to talk about Miles here really,
Nope.
because we're going to save our thoughts for that for a full separate video. So stay tuned. But if you want first impressions, I like the game quite a bit. Check out our first impressions video.
Yes.
But we're here. Tucker, I played a
Abram.
couple video games in the last week.
Now here's the thing. I did as well. I put a lot of time into a handful of video games, two of which we've already put content out for, and one of those being one that we're saving our thoughts on to
Yes.
to review, and the third one also being one we're saving thoughts on for a review. Now,
Wait,
how does this manage? You wanted to talk about Bugsnax.
I don't know if I want to anymore. I think we should discuss it here.
Okay, that's very interesting. We're changing the plan on the
Fucking,
fly.
fucking, call me a fucking rocky wrench because I'm throwing a rock into your airship
They throw
level.
wrenches, don't they?
Yeah, Rocky Wrench. That's what I said. His name
You
is.
said throwing rocks, but they throw wrenches. Yes. All right, Super Mario Bros. 3 reference, card in the corner for our Super Mario Bros. 3 review. But yeah, no, okay, I guess we could talk about Bugsnax. Do you want to do that? Do you have other games? What are we going to talk about?
I have a lot of games to talk about. I've got Xbox games, I got PS5 games you're not playing. I got a lot of shit to talk about.
Okay, all right, cool.
Where do you want to begin?
Let's just throw me one of your random ones.
Let's start with the Xbox then, because you don't have a Series S.
That's true.
I
I
want to
will
save
have
some of
access to a Xbox One X in the coming week,
that's
meaning
solid.
that I essentially have access to all the games that you have because there aren't any exclusives on the One X or the Series X yet.
Sure. Um, so I don't know yet if I want to do a full video about my thoughts on this fucking bad Jackson, but
Mhm.
this is an incredible little device for what I'm using it for. Essentially, I'm using it as a way to experience 4 generations of Xbox.
Sure.
And Microsoft does a fucking phenomenal job at this. It's super easy to get original Xbox games, Xbox 360 games, and they clean up incredibly well. Um, the main one I've been playing, that was for effect. The main one I've been playing is Star Wars Battlefront 2, the 2005 version, which is card in the corner to our top 100 games of all time. I don't know how many cards you can put in a video. I don't even know how to add them.
We're reaching the limit already, and what we're like 2 minutes in, 3 minutes in. I can't even count.
But the point is, Star Wars Battlefront 2 2005 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yes.
And while I was waiting for 120 gigabytes of Halo to download, I quickly downloaded Star Wars Battlefront 2, which is 4 gigs. So I was like, I can play this in the meantime. First of all, the game looks beautiful on next gen. The Xbox cleans these games up really well, and it also applies to faster load times to
Sure.
the older
Wow.
games.
That's
So
nice.
they look and run excellently. Um, and what is super, super special that I tweeted about, specifically pertaining to Battlefront 2, is that this game even has the DLC that was released for the original Xbox version included,
Okay.
which is very curious. And it's especially fun for me because I had the game on PS2. The PS2's online infrastructure wasn't nearly as integrated as Xbox's. So the PS2
Yeah.
version of Star Wars Battlefront 2 never got the DLC that the Xbox version got.
Sure.
So playing one of my favorite games of all time, I had new maps and characters I had never experienced before, which was a very, very exciting way to spend an afternoon. On top of the fact that Microsoft just has a really excellent apparatus for experiencing new and old content here. As a primary next gen system, I don't know if I could recommend the Series S in particular because its
Yeah.
hard drive space is fucking minute. Are your rats making a lot of noise in the background?
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Shibata is taking a fucking drink right now.
She's a thirsty gal, isn't she?
Yeah. Can you see
That's
her
all
in
right.
the background? Yeah, you
I
can.
can see her in the background now. She's a little bit off-putting, I have to say.
I apologize.
But she seems to have gotten her fill. And I recognize that noise because my fucking sister's animals do that all the time too.
Yeah. Is it like really loud and noticeable, or is it just because
Only
of
when she's drinking.
well, yes.
Just
That's
tell
what
them
we
to stop
discussed.
being thirsty.
Yeah,
Just have a little pep
shut the
talk.
fuck up.
Well,
I
there
can
we
also
go.
take the water bottle off.
It's fine. If it
Okay.
becomes an issue, we'll address it.
Okay.
But Battlefront 2, new content on the Xbox Series S, very,
Yeah.
very fun. And as a secondary system to experience all of these games I missed and old favorites again in a new, cleaned up presentation, I think this thing is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, I can't relate to any of that. Haven't
Sure.
played on, and I don't even think I've ever played on an Xbox One. Or I mean, obviously not a series.
Yeah.
How do you refer to that? I don't even know. I guess just a series console, an Xbox series. Very, very strange. But I think that sounds great. I didn't know that it transferred that power to the load times and such. Obviously, I knew the
Yeah.
visuals were improved, but that's really cool. And especially for a couple of the games that I'm currently planning on getting into once I have access to an Xbox One, that is even more exciting. And especially now that I know how huge Game Pass is from the little bit of exposure I had to it a couple months ago. I'm excited for that, and I don't think I'm gonna be picking up a next gen Xbox at any time in the near future. But
Sure.
it's cool to see that this is a interesting piece of hardware that has its own draw to it. The ability to access any generation of Xbox content easily with upgraded power is something that no other console in the history of video games has had, and I think that that's a very cool concept.
Yeah, it's the real deal. This really felt next gen because it felt to me the same way that other mediums have moved forward into the digital space. So, film, you hop on Amazon Prime Instant Video, you hop on
Yeah.
Netflix, you hop on any of these services, and you have all of this content
Yeah.
brought together and
Mhm.
collated in this really accessible way. And that's exactly how I felt powering this thing up. Um, most of my current gen games I may played on the PS5,
Yeah.
but it's serving such a unique purpose in my fucking lineup of consoles I have here
Mhm.
that it's a really integral purchase. And as someone who didn't have another Xbox unit, it just made sense to pick up a series.
Yeah.
And since it's going to be more of a secondary console for me, the S just seemed like the perfect model. To speak to Game Pass for a second,
Okay.
uh, I almost wanted to run to my basement and get a fucking golf club and smash this thing before it corrupted me, because the amount of content that you have access to in PC Game Pass
Mhm.
is overwhelming.
No, no, Xbox Game Pass.
Xbox Game Pass is overwhelming.
Because the PC one is actually pretty hampered in
Yeah.
comparison. Yeah, which is interesting. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But just the fact that I'm going to be having access to this on the One X soon, even though I was already looking at the Xbox Game Pass for PC and thinking, "Holy shit!" But now we're in an interesting place with our content because last episode we made a little bit of a plan of what games we were going to play, and I personally am still planning on playing those games. But you, however, you bad Jackson, you motherfucker. You always popping around. You will change your mind on literally anything. And the spur of the moment, someone fucking dropped a peanut in Afghanistan, and you're like, well, guess I'm getting a fucking different game today. And now here we are. So I don't know how those plans are going to transfer over to our content coming up in the next month or so, but that's just going to have to be something that'll be interesting to wait and see. I've
Yes.
been thinking a lot
And
about that. It's like, oh shit, Abram has Game Pass now. Are any of the plans that we made going to happen? The likelihood has just decreased dramatically.
it's possible that our plans might be upended, not only because I have a terrible attention span and,
Yes,
and choice
that's mostly
paralysis.
what my analysis was there.
Yeah, it's choice paralysis, it's attention span, but it's also the breadth of content I have because I downloaded Halo Master Chief Collection, Outer
Reasonable,
Wilds,
reasonable,
Minecraft Dungeons,
less reasonable, but still interesting.
Nier Automata,
That's gonna be a weird one.
Tetris Effect Connected,
Very reasonable.
and Mass Effect 2.
Completely unreasonable. Especially with an HD collection coming out in the near future.
Well, but here's the thing: with how well these games clean up, what's really the
Yeah, I
point?
guess that's
Because
true.
if there's not even a native PS5 series version of those coming, that's a last gen game that's going to have
Hmm.
updates.
Okay.
So it seems to me, why not just play them right now? You know?
Because you're gonna get stuck in other stuff and you're never gonna beat Mass Effect 2 in the next 6 months. Let me fucking tell you.
But am I going to beat it 6 months from now either? What I'm saying is, if I have it in Game Pass, let's get it fucking cocked and loaded. And if I
On
want
on
to
the
hop into,
Xbox that has a storage space the size of your fucking micro penis.
well, not my micro penis. Mine's actually mine's closer to the SSD of a much beefier machine. You know what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying?
Uh-huh.
But the point is, it's 4 gigs. You know, I can fucking expend 4 gigs to have Mass Effect sitting there. And I
Okay.
know, because keep in mind, as Deep Backlog Banter fans will know, I bought an executable file for Mass Effect 2 off of Amazon many, many years ago. And I don't even
Many
know how to access
moons.
that.
Many
Many
moons
moons
ago.
ago. But now I have it right there. It's just a
Yeah.
testament to the fact that Game Pass is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
No.
just fucking ridiculous.
I will
And it's
never
only,
deny that. You and I have been interesting proprietors of Xbox Game Pass, discovering it not too long ago, a couple months ago. It has been out for a while. And
yeah.
we're now realizing how fucking great it is, especially now that you have a console that makes it a lot more accessible than your schmunk ass laptop that you've been using. But and I will have more easy access to that soon. And Xbox Game Pass, get the thumbs up from Backlog Banter.
You know, let's get to sum it up.
Yeah,
This fucking controller,
interesting.
absolutely phenomenal. But Halo 2 anniversary gets his thumbs up from me.
Okay. Is this just gonna be a
Like,
touch on? Because I do think that we're gonna review that at some point.
it's just gonna be a touch on, but this is Halo Combat Evolved card in the corner if we have space. I don't fucking know or care. It's Halo Combat Evolved, but ratcheted up in every respect.
Sure.
Narrative, scope, gameplay. This game is fucking awesome.
I honestly can't wait to play it. As someone who had a good time with Halo, I'm glad I played it. I want there to be something more to it, and obviously the series does grow. So Halo 2 is high on my list.
9 out of I think 15 missions done, so I'm about
Okay. All
two
right.
thirds of the way through. It's not an especially long game,
Mhm.
but that's what I've been up to on the Xbox side. The Xbox
I
side.
have been up to something a little bit more interesting than that. It's something that you're not going to expect because I have not brought this up to
Puppeteering?
you. Not quite. No, it's a more video game related actually for this video game discussion podcast. Yes, and this is not the only game that I played in the past week that is not the big three for PlayStation 5. Which is I went back while Tanner was playing Miles on the PS5. I was like, shit, I need something else to do, but I want to play a video game. I went back to Super Mario Galaxy, and I'm just working on my way through that game. Just more stars, more worlds, seeing what I got. And let me tell you, that completing that game, I got 61 stars as I beat it. Going back to it, and I think I've gotten 20 more stars in the last few days. There's a lot of them that are clearly designed for later on in the game, that are the comet levels, that are just the challenges and the later parts of later levels that are just way harder than some of
Yeah.
the earlier ones. And it makes it interesting to see, okay, so I had such a consistent level crawl throughout it, and then I beat the game, took a break, come back to some stuff, and maybe I'm just playing specific levels that are fucking difficult for me, but I'm having a bitch of a time with some of these, especially the Daredevil comments.
So I don't remember the game being hard, but I also haven't gotten to that end game content in a long time.
Mm-hmm. Have you
What?
120'd it
No,
ever? Okay.
no. That's just not the way I tend to play games. Um, my question though is, how do you feel about Galaxy? Because I feel like, based on the things you've made reference to in Discord and various places, link to our fucking Discord below,
Oh shit.
you seem to be not as high on the game as when we reviewed it. Was that an accurate assessment?
No, I like a lot. I'm not
Be,
sure. I'm
be,
honestly not sure what you're referencing. I
well,
don't
you
find
were
myself discussing it too often.
no, but I feel like you're making little references to Abby, #1 backlog banter fan. Keep in
Oh yeah.
mind, shout out to him. That you just don't feel that it's as worthy of all of the high levels of praise
Yeah.
that
And I think
people
I made
give
that
on.
pretty clear in my initial review as well.
Fair. I have a feeling that we're going to talk about Super Mario Galaxy again, and 6 to 8 weeks, and you're not going to like it as much.
It's interesting. I don't know. I certainly reserve judgment for it to settle in my brain because it is something that I'm well known for is giving things higher ratings as I'm just coming off of them and then it decreasing over time. That's true for almost everything that I talk about.
Here's what I'm
But
going
we'll
to do.
see.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a storage container.
Okay.
Much like Rust Cole, Matthew McConaughey's character in True Detective. And I'm going to start putting up a fucking pinned
Why
and
can't you
dartboard.
reference fucking movies that I've seen? I have
That's an
seen over
HBO show.
1,000. Oh, okay. I never heard of that.
You haven't heard? Oh God, True Detective. Everyone knows True Detective. Fucking
No?
awesome show. But I'm gonna have a fucking dart and pin board of all the things you've said about Super Mario Galaxy, and I'm gonna piece together what's percolating in my mind. I'm gonna do it.
I have no idea what you just said, but let's continue. What else? What else have you been playing this week? We got Mass Effect 2 installed. We've got Halo 2 started and almost finished. We've got PS5 games percolating. We've got Xbox Game Pass just lurking in the back of your mind at all points in time. But there's got to be something else. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure. Just knowing you, there's something else that you've fucking got to talk about.
I'd like to talk to you about Call of Duty Cold War for sure.
Oh, that's right. God damn it.
I would like to talk to you about some PS5 things now because I have to say I love my Xbox, but when that God fucking damn it, when I set up that PS5, I'm like, what else do I even own? Do I even own a pair of shoes? I don't know because all I can think about is this fucking PS5. I love this console. I take umbrage with some things about it. I'm excited to discuss. We want to do our 1 weekend video plug for content that hasn't been made yet.
Yes.
But I've really wanted to dive in a robust way into this ecosystem. I've downloaded
Don't actually know
a lot
what
of
that means. What does that mean? What kind of? Because I mean, I've been playing plenty of PS5 games, but is that just what you mean? Playing games on it, being interested in the discussion around it, or?
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, playing a lot of games, but I've also been transferring data over to it. I've been learning more about, but no, I've been transferring data over. I've been trying to learn all the ins and outs of the UI. So when we talk about it, I can be really knowledgeable about it.
Sure.
And in doing so, I've been trying to navigate the whole PS4, PS5 game version thing, which is a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
And I've been trying out different games through backwards compatibility to get a feel
Okay.
for how that they're improved and just how much of a jump there is between my fucking base smoking PS4 and my PS5, considering I never owned a Pro.
Mm-hmm.
So one game I hopped into is Ghost of Tsushima,
Yes.
which looks and runs beautifully on PS5.
Okay.
It has been updated, but there's also just stuff that I never would have seen on that base PS4. There is a great reason to revisit, especially a lot of the first party Sony software has been updated with various updates and such. Like if you play God of War, there's haptics and adaptive trigger stuff for the Leviathan axe and such. But hopping back into Ghost of Tsushima, that game is just phenomenal. That is the game I've sunk the most time into recently that hasn't been specifically Xbox or PS5.
Yeah.
I'm still working my way through it. Coming off of Spider-Man, I'm way more impressed by Ghost of Tsushima's open world.
Okay.
I really can't wait for you to hop into that game. I think that's. I said it last week, but I just think that this is such a special PlayStation exclusive, and I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on it in a more robust way.
Sure. Yeah. No, I certainly hope to get around to it at some point. It's one of the few major PlayStation exclusives that I haven't like really sunk my time into. The other one being Horizon, which I also do want, well, not exclusive anymore, but which I also do want to get around to before Forbidden West next year. Actually, you know what? There's a lot of them. I lied. I haven't played Detroit. I haven't played Ratchet and Clank. Didn't get into Bloodborne. There's fucking plenty of them that I didn't get into, but there's plenty that I did, and I think that was.
I went to download Horizon, but it's not in the PS Plus collection, which I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, that's strange. That's an odd omission. Why have Mortal Kombat X and not Horizon Zero Dawn?
My assumption is that they'll just put that in later. They'll be like, hey, here's a trailer for Horizon Forbidden West. The game is coming out October 2021. We're in fucking March 2021 right now. It's been a state of play. How would you hop onto your PS5, PS Plus collection right now and download Frozen Beginnings?
Yes.
No, it's Zero Dawn and Frozen Wilds. Forbidden Wilds? Something. Who gives a shit?
Frozen Wilds, Forbidden West.
I really want to play that game, but I'm just not. I've got enough other things to play, such as The Last Guardian, which I did download off of PS Plus Collection.
Okay.
Haven't started it yet, but I did
And
download
actually,
it.
you bring up an interesting point. We're going to talk about your Cold War experience in a little bit, but the
Yes.
first thing I want to mention is downloading things, PS5 ecosystem, all of these things that you're mentioning. I've had a very interesting experience with my PS5, and I this is not the way that any one man should be introduced to a new generation. But I live in a new house right now. In the last 3 days, I have had zero Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi was set up this morning. This is the first video we are recording this house because of that. The PS5 can't record your play clock while it's not connected to Wi-Fi. So my play
Okay.
clocks are all fucked up for Bugsnax and Miles, which is fine. Like that's not a huge issue. It doesn't. I don't really know how they would get around that, but it definitely has been weirded me out a little bit. But you can get trophies when you're offline. So there's an interesting balance there. But also it means that I haven't had the opportunity to download anything past those 3 games that I've played. I haven't gotten any updates. I haven't been able to see anyone else's online activity. So I have been sort of in my own bubble of just playing these games and wondering what's going to happen when I reconnect to Wi-Fi and wondering what's on the other side. But I have been using the PS5 a lot. And I'm very excited to discuss the PS5 with you, with Tanner, with our friend Joe eventually. It's an interesting piece of hardware. The PS5 is not mind-blowing to me in almost any capacity. But I'm enjoying the games that I'm playing on it.
That's because you think that the Nintendo Switch is a good piece of hardware. That's your first mistake. Do you like how many just assertions I made in one simple statement?
Yeah. That was fantastic. I apologize.
And I'm not going to follow up on it at all.
Okay, that's fine.
But I really think that the PS5 is a night and day jump in a lot of ways, but it holds itself back with certain design decisions that feel strange.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's any way to look at the PS4 experience in contrast to the PS5 experience and not see the jump. I want to save a lot of that for when we actually talk about it.
Okay.
But between the fucking SSD, between all of the new innovations on a UI level, between the fucking might, majesty, and wonder that is the DualSense, I really think that of every next gen system I've played, this feels like the biggest leap. And
I'm saying that you haven't played the Series X.
What I'm saying is, having owned an Xbox One, not currently, but I had it and I sold it because it just wasn't getting the use it needed. The jump from that to Series S feels pretty iterative. Even going from Wii U to Switch, which is a radical form factor shift, there's still a lot in common and also a lot missing.
Mm-hmm.
But that felt like a smooth transition for me, a continuation of those ideas. But the PS5 to me really feels like Sony thought critically about what worked and what didn't on PS4 and moved forward in a technologically advanced way. This isn't the fucking slow and clunky PS4 UI that does all of its computations with a fucking abacus anymore. It doesn't take 15 minutes to get onto the storefront. Game help, activities, cards, everything that this machine does really feels like a 2020 device. I really was feeling the PS4's age, especially the last couple of years. And even the Series S feels like it's got 1 foot back where we were last gen. But I really think that the PS5 is that step forward. Now it's just up to Sony, in my opinion, to iron out all of the kinks that there are on day one. How quickly they do that, I think, is going to be really important. It took the PS4 a long time to get stuff like folders and things of that nature. And seeing what they decided not to ship day one on PS5 is a little bit frustrating, but I think that what's here feels great. And I'm excited to talk more about it.
Yeah, especially because I just fundamentally disagree with most of the things you just said, which is why I think that
let's play fucking 1-2 Switch and feel the balls in the Joy-Con next gen. No, I hate the Nintendo Switch.
This is an interesting episode, isn't it, Bucko?
But no, I think that's a totally valid opinion. I'm excited to actually get into the fucking bits and bobs after you've had the time to really play with it in an online capacity. And when we're in that focused discussion, we've had a little bit more time to really dive into things. I think that's going to be really, really cool. I'm excited to hear where you're coming from.
Okay. Well, I really only have one other game that I've even played today or this past week. I don't know what other topics that you'd like to cover here, but hearing you say at the beginning of the episode that we might not end up having any major Bugsnax discussion, I guess we're just gonna do it here. I haven't beaten the game. I'm not sure if I should save my thoughts for when I do so. But what do you think?
So I haven't started it,
Mm-hmm.
but I look at it on my fucking PlayStation 5 home menu,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just filled with this combination of emotions that are off-putting.
Interesting.
I just find Bugsnax to be off-putting.
Yeah, no, you find a lot of appealing things to be off-putting, which is one thing that I appreciate about you. It's a charm that you have.
I understand, you know, I'm certainly I'm not like the other girls
That's
as
true.
you
That's
know.
certainly true.
Um,
Should we talk
it's
about
just
Bugsnax?
the gameplay just doesn't seem interesting to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the aesthetic really gross. I don't
Okay.
use that word lightly, but I find it gross.
All right.
I find Bugsnax I really feel should be I feel like I should have fucking lifted up some kind of fucking trap door and that I found in the forest under a bunch of pine needles and debris. A fucking palimpsest object here in the floor, and I open up this fucking eldritch noises coming out, and I peer down into the trap door, and here's the fucking Young Horses development team, and they grab me, you know, and they pull me into their fucking hellscape of Bugsnax. That's what the game feels like to me, and I'm almost not kidding.
Well, that would be very interesting if you had played the video game. And you know what I have done? Played the video game. A lot of the video game. I was up
Okay.
until 2:30 a.m. last night. Fucking bloodshot eyes. I was pushing the midnight oil. I don't even know what the fucking phrase is.
Burning.
Yeah,
The
I know.
midnight oil.
But I am having a very good time with Bugsnax. Yes, visually, one of my main criticisms, it looks like a fucking PS3 game, and it's very frustrating because almost every other aspect that it has in terms of gameplay loop, voice acting, just the mechanics of putting things down, the physics systems, the creativity that goes into every aspect of the design, the fact that the characters are surprisingly engaging, and the story and relationships that they have is actually interesting and prompts you to want to complete all of these tasks. It's a very, very good game in a lot of regards that I was not expecting.
My question for you is what if you could isolate like one thing, what compels you to keep going back? Or what compels you to play this game for 5 hours at a time?
Yeah, I think it's first off just how easily you can get caught in the gameplay loop.
Okay.
Okay, I found that bug snack. I found I'm just gonna use general terms. I found the creature over there that this guy wanted, but I can go right over there and get something else. But if I deliver this to this guy, then it unlocks something else, and another character has a mission for me, and everything flows so naturally together that you feel like, okay, if I complete something, I might as well do one more. And that's what happened to me last night. It's like, okay, a new area unlocked. Well, I want to explore that. Oh, I found a new person. Okay, what do they want? Okay, I'm so close to getting them to come back to town. Okay, they're back in town. They are interacting with this. Oh, that's a cool story point. It gave me a key to unlock something in someone else's house, which gave me a little bit of lore knowledge. And I want to just know what's going on with all these characters. And there's such an interesting dynamic going on with the game. It's very addicting in its
Okay.
form factor. And I also think that just the quality of the content that they've put into it in terms of visual design in the characters and the creativity of the lore and just how well written it is. It's just really addicting to want to go back and find new things. And that's essentially the whole gameplay loop. Like there's very little difference clearly from the side content and the main story content, which is very fun because it just feels like everything flows so naturally together. And I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I started it on launch day. I played probably an hour and 30 minutes. I played about the intro. You get to the main gameplay loop, and then last night I started back up and bam, played till 2 a.m.
Hmm. Perhaps I've run the game off too quickly.
I genuinely believe that's true. And it's certainly possible that you'll give it a try and come back and call me a fucking dipshit. But you know what? That's how backlog banter goes, and we just gotta be ready for those. We gotta batten down the hatches and fucking put up our Spartan shields and protect from the rain of arrows that comes from Abram's face.
I don't have any shields I could hold up. I was looking around intently, but I don't have any.
Could put my Nintendo Switch case in there you go. There you go. Oh, the Wii U gamepad. Oh, that is certainly a shield. That could stop a nuclear bomb, and I think it will.
I'd hold up my Switch, but I don't know where it is.
Backlog Banter episode 6. Abram hates the Nintendo Switch and can't remember where his Switch is.
I did hit 20 hours in Clubhouse games last night.
Oh, so you played it last night, so you do know where it is.
Yeah, I know where it is. Shout out to chess. My girlfriend and I have played over 120 rounds of chess in Clubhouse games.
Good lord.
This is my favorite episode of the show.
It's a fascinating episode for a myriad of reasons. A myriad.
Do you say myriad reasons or a myriad of reasons?
Of.
Because both are grammatically correct.
Myriad reasons?
Yeah, I tend to drop the of.
I tend to drop a shit in the fucking toilet every once in a while.
It's a satisfying thing to do, don't you think?
Yeah.
You know, also satisfying? Playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to talk about the last game of the week.
Okay.
For me, at least. We just Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now, let me set you down on my fucking knee here. You know what I'm gonna? I want to set you down on your knee, on my knee and tell you a tall tale, if you will. I've been trying to integrate the phrase "I don't want to tell tales out of school" in this episode, but I can't find a way to do it because I don't really.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't really either, but I really like the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, I want to set you down on my knee and I want to tell you about the Call of Duty.
Your extended metaphor is fucking up your flow. I apologize for the viewers of Backlog Banter. Oh, Lord.
What's interesting to me about the Call of Duty series is the way that it has garnered so much unfair hate.
Sure.
And a lot of it comes from me, because I tend to be skeptical of things that are popular. And for a long time, that included Call of Duty. I just saw it as this mainstream, really safe, really iterative, familiar first-person shooter that's fine. It wasn't until Modern Warfare last year's Modern Warfare, the reboot, that I gave the series a shot, and really enjoyed that game. And then I bought Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Keep in mind, the colon is after Call of Duty, but they're like, fuck it, let's have 2 subtitles, which is just a terrible name. It should just be Call of Duty Cold War. But playing it, Call of Duty is this excellent intersection between polished mechanics and high fidelity action. I don't think that there are many first-person shooters that feel better than Call of Duty. I don't think there's many AAA games that hit the production value of Call of Duty, that hit the bar of quality that COD hits every single year. Now, I'm not inherently the sort of player that likes more round-based multiplayer action. I love Splatoon. I loved Overwatch. I hopped into a lot of Destiny Crucible, but it's very few and far between. And frankly, I don't know how much of this multiplayer I'll play, because that really fast, quick movement, low time to kill gameplay, it's not really my style. If anything, I'm going to be more towards the Battlefront side. But the single player so far in Cold War is excellent. And on PS5, it's something else entirely because of the DualSense. Our good friend John DualSense. What's special about Cold War is that Raven Software, who developed the single player, for people who don't know, Raven Software has a long lineage of interesting single player first person shooters and really great licensed games like X-Men Origins Wolverine. But they got folded into the Call of Duty apparatus as a support team. But this is their first time having their name fucking front and center because they handled the entire campaign. And it shows. And what's special, to return to the DualSense, what Raven did is that every gun in the game uses haptics and the adaptive trigger differently. So every gun feels remarkably different. Aiming down sights with different weapons feels different. You feel that resistance. As you pull the trigger, you can feel the gun hit. You can feel the recoil with every shot. When your clip, it goes empty, the trigger jams. Or sometimes you'll pull it all the way through and nothing will happen. You can hear a click. There's such a visceral feedback here that adds a genuine level of immersion that feels intelligent. I really love HD Rumble, but it feels additive. It feels like it's got these very specific use cases, and this does too, but it feels intelligent when used properly. The level of attention to detail here to every single gun feeling different. The kick of a shotgun with every round, where you got an MP5, an AK-47, whatever you're using, it just adds to the spectacle because the game looks great and it feels great with these adaptive trigger systems. On top of the fact that the gunplay is just tight and it's responsive, and the set pieces are interesting, and the characters are compelling, and there are now dialogue trees in this game. There are character customization aspects, light RPG elements. I haven't gotten there yet, but people are talking up a lot of the side quests where you have to, because it takes place in the Cold War, you have to piece together this Soviet intelligence and crack these codes to get into their audio channels and such. And you can't look them up online because they're exclusive to every person's copy. They're re-rolled. So you legitimately have to think critically. And there's a thoughtful element to Cold War that I don't think that the past games have had, and a level of fidelity and attention to detail that the series has always have, but has now brought to the next level with Cold War. I really think that these games are popular in the mainstream wider gaming ecosystem for a clear reason that is just missed by a lot of players who write them off on the merit of being Call of Duty. I'm only about an hour into the campaign so far, but it's already visually interesting, high octane, great characters. The story moves. It fucking respects your intelligence. There's actually interesting things happening. It's not just a Michael Bay movie, which I think it gets the in a lot of ways rightful reputation for, especially if you play some of the older ones, which I've tried and not connected with at all. But I really think Cold War is something special, and I think it really illustrates, next to Astro, why this controller is special. And unlike Astro, where it feels like showing off the DualSense is the goal of the game, this is implementing the DualSense technology in a way that feels really, really organic and makes me never want to play a game that doesn't use the DualSense to increase immersion in some interesting way.
Okay, honestly, that's a lot of really cool points that I haven't paid attention to this goddamn game at all. I mean, I remember
Sure.
that action trailer with the fucking RC car from the PlayStation showcase, and I was like, okay, all right, that was pretty fucking cool. But what?
That is also 5 minutes of the intro.
Okay.
For context as to what this game has, they were like, here's 5 minutes of the campaign that's compelling enough on its own, and it just keeps ratcheting up.
Okay, interesting. All right. But I think the main thing that I want to touch on here is the fact that you say it is really using the DualSense's haptic feedback and next generation features in an interesting way. Because we actually talked about in one of our videos, I can't remember what it was, but that I was wondering if third-party developers were really going to want to take advantage of the
Yeah.
haptic feedback and the DualSense's unique capabilities, because it now feels like there is a almost different experience to be had playing it on PlayStation with that increased immersion. And I don't know how that necessarily is going to impact sales. Honestly, I don't think it'll do that much, but I do think that there's something to be said for developers wanting to take advantage of next generation technology that the Xbox just does not have in its
Yeah.
controller. And it allows for you to do those interesting things and not necessarily super impact gameplay, but certainly impact the experience. I am in an interesting place with the DualSense's haptic feedback. The games that I have played, all three of the PS5 games I have played, have used it to different degrees. I haven't particularly enjoyed any of them, but I do think that it might be something that I'm getting into a game that uses it a lot more consistently, like you're saying Cold War does, and not in just very minor ways. Because
Yeah.
the experiences that I'm having in Bugsnax or Miles Morales, where it depends on if you are swinging in Miles or walking through Money Bugsnax or whatever, and it gives you a little bit of feedback there, that I'm feeling like, okay, I feel that, and I almost don't notice it most of the time in a way that isn't increasing immersion. It's like, okay, it's just something that is barely added. And the fact that you're saying that the controller fights back when you're out of ammo or if something jams, I think those are interesting ways that it could be implemented that I haven't experienced yet that might actually turn me on to enjoying the haptic a little bit more. Because as it stands, I'm not personally a huge fan of it. I don't think it adds enough for me to really feel like it's an evolution. And a
Sure.
lot of the time, I just find it kind of obnoxious. But I am willing to give it a shot. This game might come into my possession at some point. Tanner is interested in it. We are both going to wait until it receives a holiday sale to either of us to pick it up. But I've always wanted to try Call of Duty. There's just so much stuff that I'm already interested in that I feel
Sure.
like, okay, getting into a series where a new entry happens every year, that I just don't know if that would be super engaging for me. But these games, I do have access to them. I can get these games from a GameStop or something for pretty cheap because they do sell very well, and that popularity does lend it to being a lot of returns. So you can get used copies of these games very cheap, and I think that I might hop into the Call of Duty series. I'm not exactly sure which ones have the campaign that I might want to get into, but that's some research that I'll have to do because I'm certainly willing to give it a shot. And this one does sound like a very cool, higher octane, higher budget thing than I was honestly expecting from Call of Duty. Because as someone who is not experienced with straight up first person shooter franchises, you saying that the gameplay of the multiplayer Call of Duty doesn't necessarily click with you, but that does for Battlefront or Battlefield. I didn't know there was much of a difference. I
Sure.
couldn't tell you how those games are different in their format or their multiplayer speed or whatever. But it just shows my disconnect from that genre of video games.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more diverse genre than I think it's given credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're looking for one to hop into, last year's Modern Warfare has a campaign that I feel avoids a lot of the like braggadocio and fucking military machismo that makes the older
Sure.
ones not particularly engaging. Like
Mm-hmm.
the original Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, the remastered versions that come out on PS Plus. I've tried playing them. It's like a lot of fucking it's a lot of the stuff that Halo parodies with Sarge, who goes fucking hoorah after every guy he kills, but they mean it in Call of Duty more. They mean it, but the newer games really, I think, have a foot in a realism that makes them a little bit more digestible, at least for me, while still remaining fucking high energy and blockbuster, but having that through line that keeps them compelling. And I
Sure.
think that the Cold War setting is that the Cold War setting in Call of Duty Cold War
Yes.
is really interesting. And you've got like fucking, they intercut in like actual news footage from the
Oh
80s.
wow.
And
Okay.
there's licensed music in the background. You're walking through bars where people are fucking dressed up in their ascots and their fucking turtlenecks. And it's really, really cool. And you throw ray tracing in there, you throw the great audio, and it's an experience that operates on a level that not many AAA games can hit because not many have the budget and the push behind them of COD.
Yeah.
The fact that a team like Raven gives us those deliberate single player experiences is allowed to do this as not just a tacked on afterthought, but a legitimate portion that I think can attract players like you or I who are more integrated into the gaming ecosystem beyond the mainstream surface level
Sure. Yeah.
appeal. I think makes these games really interesting. And there's just something really special about pulling that adaptive trigger and feeling it resist until you pass the point where a trigger to actually pull it and it hits, and you feel every round of an AK shaking your controller as you're firing until that clip empties. It's just this is a next level experience in a lot of different respects.
Sure. Yeah. Have no experience with it, but I'm willing to in the future. Yeah. What else? What do you got?
Not a game that you're gonna get on the fucking devil's Nintendo Switch. Let me
No.
tell you
What the
something.
fuck? I'm just
Not,
sitting here. I'm just
another
breathing through
not.
my goddamn nose,
I'm gonna get
I'm
a
known to do.
I'm gonna get a blackboard and I'm gonna call it demerits against the Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna put a fucking tally mark every time I need to give the Nintendo Switch a demerit.
Fantastic. I'm excited for that. It'll be interesting to see how many of these bits pan out.
I'm still working on Abram's Fun with Puppets. Once that clears, I'll work on the
What
Nintendo
about
Switch game.
Abram's esoteric, whatever fucking objects?
Oh, Abram's esoteric inquiries into
Abram's inquiries into esoteric objects.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really inquired into many esoteric objects, but I did learn about the existence of a PS3 exclusive called Pain,
Yes,
which is
through the
referenced.
Easter egg in Astro's Playroom. Yes.
Yes, but I didn't recognize that. It wasn't until
No,
I
neither did
heard Sacred Symbols this week, which I
I
upped
actually
my
started watching that episode. Fun
yeah.
fact. Fun fact. I wish I had video, but you know what? They can't all be winners.
I upgraded my Patreon pledge so I can listen to the bonus show every week.
Congratulations. Very proud of you. That's not
Well,
true. I'm
thank
not. But you know what? Maybe you'll do something else. Maybe you'll finally please me one day.
you.
You know what's pleased me? This episode of Backlog Banter has been interesting, to say the fucking least. But I think that there has been some good conversations in here. I'm excited for the content that we have coming out
Yes.
regarding these PS5 games, but also I'm just excited to be getting into a larger array of games because I've been very focused this past week on these games. Miles and Bugsnax, I want to platinum, not very difficult platinums. I'm already solidly on the way to both of them. But once I get past those humps, I've got the Xbox One X access to and a couple of games I want to check out there. And I do want to finish Minish Cap at some point.
Right.
And we have that other list of games, which I'm gonna push for some of them to happen because I would like to stick to some of those plans, but I'm willing to obviously take the fucking ream as it comes. That's not a goddamn phrase, but 3DS Ocarina of Time is what you're saying? Oh, you're just
Banker's
trying to show
Uprising.
me. Oh, that was not on the list. I'm pushing for the list. I see me. Hello.
I thought we were gonna do Kid Icarus Uprising and Death Stranding.
No, I didn't think that would either.
It looks like
Close
Backlog
it out.
Banter's in
Close
the
it out.
cold. It looks like Backlog Banter's in a cold war of its own as we decide what games to play next. Will it be Earthbound? Will it be The Last Guardian? It's probably going to be Days Gone. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week when I don't have anything to say about Age of Calamity because I'm not buying it, but I might play Part-Time UFO.
See you then.
Goodbye. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. Engage with us. We just hit 150. Now you can end the video.
Well, actually, we had 151 and then someone unsubscribed.
It's fucking Ciabatta making noise again. But
Oh,
this time
sleeping.
no, but through fucking brain waves.
Oh,
Your rat is talking to me psychopathically, telepathically.
psychopathically. Whoa.